powerful warrior societies of the Great Plains had succumbed to U.S. government pressure. They were confined to reservation lands. Even the mighty Red Cloud, the one-time scourge of the Bozeman Trail, led his band of Oglala Lakota onto a reservation in Nebraska. His painful decision to do so was no doubt helped along by a shocking and eye-opening journey he took into enemy territory. Red Cloud hoped to negotiate with the white government.
He went to Washington, saw the inevitability of the white men coming, and basically changed his ways, realized that for the greater good of the people, to absorb the Eastern philosophy and change our way of life and go to the reservation was going to be the mainstay for the people, the only way that we were going to survive.
He saw the big cities and the large amount of people. He just became a realist, is what I think it amounts to.
But there were still a few holdouts among the Lakota who had no intention of giving in to white pressure. Prominent among them was Crazy Horse, Red Cloud's lead decoy at the Fetterman fight 10 years earlier. Now in his late 20s, Crazy Horse had become a respected leader in the battle against white encroachment.
He was fighting for the right to live as he always lived, and for his people to always live that way. And I think he didn't ask for anything more. He didn't settle for anything less.
In the last week of June 1876, several Lakota, Cheyenne, and Arapaho warrior bands gathered in a valley of the Little Bighorn River in southeastern Montana. Earlier that spring, the U.S. Army had issued an ultimatum. Any Indians who refused to report to the reservations would be deemed hostile and dealt with accordingly. Several warrior bands had ignored the ultimatum.
Finally, the government decided to do something about it, and they sent various Army units out there, including elements of the 7th Cavalry. And one of those elements was led by George Custer.
The bands now gathered on the Little Bighorn. Between 1,500 and 2,500 warriors in total would soon be tested in battle. Shortly after noon on June 25th, the attack came. Without properly scouting the encampment, Colonel George Custer led his men against the Native Americans. Custer had fewer than 500 soldiers. Now, most people probably know that Custer was outnumbered in this fight, but it might be news to you that he was also outgunned. The Indians had Winchesters.
In Little Bighorn, we had many repeating rifles that we'd gotten on the high plains through trade and raids. Whereas if we didn't have the gun, I mean, even though the soldiers were way outnumbered, we would have had many more losses.
Most of these repeating rifles weren't exactly in mint condition, but in many cases,